Welcome everybody to my YouTube channel. Previously on the last episode for this 2012 Subaru WRX, we got an ASIN timing belt installed. Along with that, we completely refreshed the timing covers and they look completely restored and brand new out of the box. I'm very excited about how this build is coming along, so thanks for tuning in. Please comment below what you think we should do next for this car, and enjoy today's episode. Okay, as you guys can tell, the freaking long block looks amazing. I'm really happy about that. Next is, I've got this pile of parts here, and they all correspond somewhere in the engine. We've got the AC compressor mounting bracket, we've got the intercooler bracket, we've got a couple other things in here. This is the secondary air pump bracket, and I just figured I've got this means to powder coat now, and I would like these to look better, so we are going to powder coat these parts, and we just need to get them now sandblasted and then in the powder coater. So that's what I'm gonna go do now, is get those sandblasted. Check out the before so we can check out the after. Kylie wanted to give the sandblaster a shot, so we're going to go ahead and continue working on the engine. So we appreciate her doing that so we can progress on this build. So let's continue getting this motor put together. Okay, behind me guys, you obviously saw I got the exhaust manifold right here. I'll be honest, I actually don't like the fact that we're going to be running the stock exhaust, although I looked into getting some equal length header ones and a new up pipe, and it was going to be close to $2,000, and honestly, we're not building any power. The only reason I would really like to get equal length headers is because they can help with cooling cylinder 4, which is on the passenger side of the motor. It helps with cooling driver side. Driver side, sorry, I had it backwards. Helps with cooling the driver side of the motor. So that's the whole reason I wanted to get equal length headers, was because it would help keep the cylinder 4 on the driver's side cooler. we're not really building a lot of power out of this. We have stock injectors, stock fuel pump, everything like that. So to save $2,000 for something that's not crazy critical, when we have other things, when we do equal length headers, it'll be fuel pump, injectors, things like that. So right now we're gonna be running the stock ones. And so hopefully we're gonna do that down the road and soon. And so I'm not gonna worry about trying to powder coat the heat shields for stock exhaust. I don't think it's worth my time on the build, because we're just gonna get nicer ones here down the road. So excuse the fact that I'm putting dirty parts on you, because they are temporary. Guys, I am going to change the part that started it all right here, this important part number, which is 22060AA140. This is the one and only NOx sensor. Now the reason we are changing this is because we had some feedback knock on our anxiety port, our cob access port, to be clear. One of the recommended things was changing this and everything, so which it is stuck in the box here. So I'm gonna have my lovely assistant help me out. So truthfully, through the whole build, the whole reason I spawned all this is we were getting some feedback knock. We're hoping it was the NOx sensor and not like the crank and all that stuff, but I guess we'll find out after all of this, after everything is taken care of, everything's been retightened, everything's been taken care of, like loose bolts or anything like that. So we will see ultimately how everything ends up working out. Now, I will say for the torque spec on this is where your knock sensor is located near the back of the motor. It is a 12 millimeter. The torque spec for this is 17.7 pounds, no more and no less. So it would be good to use a digital gauge. I would be honest, if I only had a manual one, I would just do the 17 foot-pounds, just so you're aware. But I'm pretty sure these are very, very, very specific, but use what you have, or you can go to Harbor Freight, pick up like a Quinn torque wrench. I think they're like $100, $130, and then you want 17.7 foot-pounds for your knock sensor. So let's go ahead and get this changed out. Imagine we're having knock because our pistons and crank is bad and everything, and so we're like doing all this work and shit, the engine has to come right back out. What?
Don't put it out there. Don't put it out in English.
So as you can tell, I've started laying out some parts here. These are all the parts we're going to be sandblasting. Very excited for these. They are all going to be going the same color, but just look at the difference between, I need to sandblast one more part. It's this part over here. But look at the difference between like a nice clean sandblasted part and then this part right here. This is the difference. So the color these are all getting is, this is the color they're all getting. It is Splatter Black from Prismatic Powders. I'm very excited about this. This is all just like mounting brackets, and for like, we have the power steering mounting bracket, I believe. No, we don't have that one, but we have like the AC compressor. We have, there's just a bunch of, there's the fuel line rails, there's the battery tie down, there's a bracket here for like electrical things, for just where literal electrical parts just mount on. I don't know all the technical terms for all of these, but so they're all going to go the Splatter Black, which is basically wrinkle black. I think it's a very sweet additive for engine bays. It just adds a little bit more texture to the engine bay versus like an ink black or like a satin black, wrinkle black is just a nice touch. It's subtle, but you can tell that work has been put into these parts. So that's what we'll be doing. Right now I need to get all these parts cleaned up. Well, they're already clean, but I just need to blow them off. I do have to protect the threads for screws and things like that. This powder coating is thick enough to ruin your threads, and it's not easy to just retap your threads. So you're actually best to just like put some powder coating tape is what it's called, around like your threads and things. So we need to protect those parts, but everything else, as far as I know, like mounting surfaces, you don't really need to put any type of protection over those. It should be fine. So yeah, that's what we have right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these parts blown off, and then I do need to go and get the sandblast the last part here. But take a look at these. Okay, you guys, well, it looks like I forgot to record when I first started powder coating. Obviously, I hate when that happens. We got the parts in the oven. They bake at 375 for 15 minutes for this powder coat. So we're just gonna have to wait for those to get done. Most likely we may let them go a little over. As always, I'm gonna pull them out and check them to make sure that there's even coverage. And so hopefully they turn out looking good. So now it's just a waiting game at this point. So we'll just wait 15 minutes. Okay, so the powder coating is looking really good. We're gonna let those bake for a little bit longer because I think I saw a tip from Devin Niemela, who I watch on YouTube when he uses this powder coat. His tip was if it's still shiny, leave it in there. You want it to be more flat than shiny. I think it's in the middle of that. So I'm gonna let it go for it doesn't hurt powder coat to bake it longer, just to be clear. So I'm going to let it cook longer. I'm just gonna do like another 5-10 minutes because I did let it sit outside and it cooled off quite a bit. So we'll probably do another 10 minutes. It's something I didn't clarify when I said that this bakes at 375 for 15 minutes, is that it's at 375 when the temperature of the part is at 375. So to clarify, you'll want to get one of these digital thermometers. So like you can see the laser here on the door. I can scan, let's say, the trimming of this garage door, and that reads as 55 degrees or 54.9. So it is, what you want to do is you pick one of these up. This is just the Harbor Freight special one. I think I paid 25 bucks for this, 50 bucks, I can't remember. And you'll put your parts in, you'll let them bake for a little bit, like 3 minutes, check it, 5 minutes, check it, and then once you have your parts, and you want to do all the parts, scan all the parts, because all the parts have different thicknesses, right? Some of these are thin, some of these are thicker. You want to read all these parts. Once you've read all the parts, and they've cleared out, you're looking at 15 minutes at the temperature of the part. So just wanted to clarify that for you guys so that you're not just putting them in there for 15 minutes. They're not at the right temperature. You're way short on time. Because again, you could go longer. So not a big deal. So I pulled them out just now, and I pulled out my flashlight, make sure nothing's too thin, anything like that. Everything looked really good. So now we're just gonna wait for those to come back. Wait for those to finish, pull them out, then we'll let them cool off and show you guys the final product. All right, guys, I just pulled out the parts from the oven. They look fantastic. Take a look at these. Those obviously turned out amazing. I really like how those turned out. Now we just need to let those cool off. It is very cold here in Utah, so what I'm actually gonna do is open the garage, put these outside, let the cold air cool them down, and then we can take these off and set them off to the side, and we have another set of parts to do. Okay, there were a couple mistakes on the first set of batches. These are 98% good. They're two small things. So I'm going to show you guys my mistakes so that you can learn from them. First was being right here on this part. Let me see if I can get this good enough on camera. You see? Oh yeah, totally. See how there's that line right there? I think when I was picking up the oven rack and moving it, this was swinging and the wire that was holding it was hitting that. So it kind of pressed the wrinkles down. That said, I'm not personally upset with that. I don't think that is a redo thing, especially because that part right there is not going to get seen. The intercooler sits on top of that, so I'm going to live with that. That I'm okay with. The next mistake I had was the underside here, which I don't even know if the camera's going to show this very well. It's right here where my thumb is. It's just a little thin. The wrinkles aren't quite as deep. So you can see here, just how wrinkly it is, and it's just a little bit more smooth right there. It's a little silvery. You can barely, like, the powder was just, it was just too thin was the problem. But other than that, this all looked good. I did notice that one of the issues I had was the powder, or the gun itself had too much airflow. And so I kind of had to like pull the gun further away from the part and let the powder rest onto it. I tried to use my regulator to turn it down, but I couldn't quite get it dialed in perfectly at the time, just because I was trying to get these parts sprayed properly. So these look really good. Let me go ahead and show you with the high heat silicone tape. Let's go ahead and pull that off and see how our threads look real quick. Dang, look at that. It's freaking perfect. A little powder got in through the top, but that's okay. So that's obviously, I mean, that's perfect. Look at that. That looks professional for the most part, except for that little bit that got on top right there, that little black smudge. So obviously the high silicone heat tape, or whatever it's called, I don't think it's called silicone, but the high heat tape I showed you guys from Amazon, that worked great, obviously. So love that. And again, as a reminder, if you're wondering why I taped the threads, powder coat is thick enough to where it'll mess up your threads for things, and it also will ruin things like gasket surfaces. So like, now powder coat can't be used for high heat things. So like, here's like my up pipe. So like right here is where my turbo is. If I was to powder coat this, anything, any color, right here would actually make it imperfect for a surface. So when my gasket would sit on this, and then I put my turbo on there, that would probably leak on the underside of the gasket, because again, it's an imperfect surface. So you can't use powder coat on flat surfaces like that. That said, you could powder coat a part like this. You would just want to tape off that top layer where the surface mounting part is, and you're good to go. Now, that said, the powder coating parts, the powder coat here is not really meant for like super high heat. So now that said, obviously these are going on the engine, they're going next to the engine, things like that. But parts that I believe when I was reading or researching it was like, I think it was parts that get over 300 to 300 degrees can affect your powder coating surface and how it looks, especially with higher jumps. So obviously our exhaust manifold is probably going to get temperatures higher than that often. So we don't want to powder coat anything like that. What you'd want to do, in my opinion, is you can still sandblast, get everything perfect. You'd want to degrease, you'd want to bake the part, and then I would do Cerakote paint. Paint is not the right term. I would just be Cerakoting it. You use a paint gun. But I'd Cerakote my parts, my exhaust manifold parts, if I was to do high heat parts. You can do like a turbo and stuff. I've seen like Devin and other YouTubers do turbos and things, but just kind of watch out there. Now you'll notice I just put the parts in with not having them powder coated. Something you can do is, I believe it's called hot flashing. Basically you spray the powder on when the part's hot. Now, so what I'm gonna do is let those sit in there for about 10 minutes. And the reason this is helpful is because it helps the powder really adhere to it. In the AC compressor bracket, there's a lot of like deeper grooves and holes. in the forming of the part. So I'm gonna heat these parts this time, see how they turn out, pull them out, spray them, we'll powder coat them, get them back in the oven, and then again it's 375 for 15 minutes when the part has reached temperature. And I'm just gonna see how these ones turn out. So we have a before and an after of the parts. The before obviously turned out great. I just kind of want to experiment. Ultimately, if these parts are bad, I'll either A, just buy new ones, or B, take it to a place to have them stripped. If I absolutely ruin them, which I doubt I will absolutely ruin them. So I'm just gonna get them heated first. We'll see how they turn out. Bring them over here and get them sprayed out. Well, as you guys can tell, I had to spray some more. What actually turned out is, and I don't think I did a good job the first time around, obviously, was the bottom where it had the deepest crevice and cracks on the AC compressor. I did not get like hardly any powder up there. So as I looked on the bottom, I think I was so focused about it not sticking as well the first time I was flowing these out, I forgot to check the bottom and paid the consequence of that. So now I have to wait for that to get to departmental temperature, 375, wait another 15 minutes. And so just losing a lot of time right now, which is not a big deal. It's part of the learning process. I actually don't mind this at all. This is actually probably one of my favorite things to be doing is powder coating because it's just new. And I love the before and after effects. So as of right now, we're just gonna be waiting and we'll just wait for these parts to finish baking. And I put all the parts back in, like I mentioned, it doesn't hurt them. I spoke with people who's done a lot more powder coating than myself. They said it does not hurt for parts to bake longer than they need to. It hurts it more to just not bake it long enough. So put them all in there, not a huge deal because I couldn't pull those parts off immediately. And if you ever needed to, just so you guys are aware, it's my understanding that you can powder coat over powder coat. I don't know if I would powder coat like a wheel that was once black and try to powder coat it white, but if it was in this instance where I powder coated these and then the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely missed this section. In theory, you should be fine. Granted, I don't know if don't take my advice at face value just because I'm brand new, but do pay attention. I think I would risk it if it was something small like this. I would just reheat it up in the oven and get it all set up and do that powder coating process again. So Just gotta wait for those to get to part metal temperature again. I did notice that they were sitting at like around 370 range. So I did turn the oven up just a little bit. So it's probably at about 385, the oven itself. And then, so we just gotta wait for those to get to 375 and bake those out again, another 15 minutes. So as you guys can tell, the splatter black from Prismatic powders, it looks amazing. Honestly, I freaking love this. This is super nice. So as you can see, I got some pretty clean lines. These are just like right where the part mounts up to like the motor and things. I wasn't sure if that was necessary, but now when we have this here, it's a nice clean mount. You'll see right there is the part where I have this. Perfect contact, still metal on metal. You know, I'm sure there's some discrepancy in regards to whether or not that was actually necessary, because on some parts I didn't really do all that. So I just did what at the time I felt was best. Just a live and learn process right now. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and showing your love and your support to my channel. For those who have been sticking around and watching, obviously the powder coating stuff is phenomenal. I will link it down in the description below of what I've been using. I can't link the oven. The oven's just literally, guys, I just went on Facebook Marketplace and bought the oven. I think I paid like 80 bucks for it. Came home, the guy I bought it from pressure washed the outside, so the outside was pretty much clean, and then the interior wasn't too bad, and I just kind of like scrubbed it out with a Scotch-Brite pad and some cleaner. So it's obviously the oven works great that I bought. If you're gonna get into this like what I've been doing, I would recommend buying a metal door. Don't buy a glass door, just obviously in case you ever drop anything, or with the metal door you can actually kind of bang in the front and create more space. I've seen other people do that, so that's why I wanted a metal door specifically for my oven for powder coating. But anyways, the gun I can list, the silicone plugs that you potentially saw me through the videoing, I pulled those out and used those to plug. Those came with my EASTWOOD gun, so I'll link it down in the description what websites you can find what I'm using at. And just appreciate you guys so much with supporting the channel, supporting the build, just staying positive with the car community and everything. Obviously, I'm just hoping to one day give back and help you guys out one day. So thank you so much, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.